Monsieur Antoine Legrand, qui est âgé et pas très bien portant,
di leggere la sua
Mandylion.
presentazione. Bisogna non confondere il sudario e le bande del mento con la sindone, pertanto mi limiterò
Tonia,
che i anni citati da Giovanni, oltre a
bande y enserrant le corps. Après cette petite incursion exégétique, mon propos
la mia dissociare
Try to, in a way,
Puis, avec les siècles, cette lettre se transforme en un portrait de Jésus sur une serviette. Ce portrait n'est pas le premier dont on ait parlé, car en 574, lorsqu'arriva à Constantinople l'icône de Camuliana, celle-ci avait droit au qualificatif de non faite de main d'homme. C'est en effet à partir de cette époque que les légendes de Camuliana et d'Édesse s'enchevêtrèrent. De même que plus tard l'on confondra en un seul objet le Mandylion et le
mixed, as the shroud and Mandylion will be mixed and confused in the future. After this entrance in the imperial city, the Mandylion, which was a cloth coming from Edessa, will remain an object of veneration. This made many authors think that Mandylion was, as a matter of fact, the shroud folded so to hide the double print of the body of the corpse. And this image doesn't stand the iconographic evidence we're going to provide. The Mandylion was a cloth having some
n'a toujours possédé que des lisières.
Having some fringes, and nobody will doubt that the shroud had no fringes. Father Duval, who carried out a complete work on the evolution of the veil of Edessa, the veil of Edessa, he stressed that the Mandylion was a kind of towel with fringes, but among the various reference texts, the importance of this detail, which seemed non-important, was in a way neglected. The presence of these fringes, in a way, is enough to set up a distinction between the big shroud with a size of 4 meters without fringes and this very small cloth, which was much smaller than the shroud and was fringed. On the basis of this statement, we will apply an undisputable iconographic documentation. The first document, which explains the Mandylion, is an icon of the monastery of Santa Caterina of the Sinai mountain, 945-975. Here we see the portrait, perfect portrait of Babgar, holding the image of Christ's head on a cloth, where we can see many fringes. A miniature of the Codex 251 sheet 12 in the Vatican Library represents this cloth with the fringes at two ends of the cloth.
Tantôt l'évêque juché au haut d'une échelle retire
In the case, because this plays a very important role in the Mandylion legend,
sur laquelle un homme a posé le tablier dont le
sometimes mention is made of the cloth having the print, keeping the print. Sometimes mention is made of the print of the imprint of Christ's face. we know very well the preservation of very brittle clay like this, which has been reproduced many times on paintings and portraits depicting faces of human beings, of men. When the siege was, when Constantinople was sieged, the palaces of the colon were saved and rescued. The case with the cloth was given from St. Louis to the Saint Chapel, and as the Mandylion is considered as a sacred icon for inhabitants, it was kept like this. You have here the Mandylion of Genoa. The next slide shows a scene from a metal painting or made metal picture, the legend of the emperor who finds back the icon above the door of Edessa. But where is the holy face of San Sylvester, who was brought to the private chapel in 1870? Copies of the Mandylion made in the 1200s. One of the most famous was the one brought back in 1982 to the cathedral belonged to after being restored. It is 44 by 44 centimeter image by Sudan Martin André Crobat, who wrote, it is a considerably interesting work. It is a painting, a considerable painting. As a matter of fact, the inscription face of God brings us back to 1249, and after being a diplomat of the Pope, Giacomo became Pope with the name of Urban IV, and this in particular should draw our attention. That is the interpretation of scriptures by Suzanne Martinet, and on the fringe which is on this icon, which has parallel traces, white and red. The presence of the reproduction of the fringe of the Mandylion allows us to avoid an identification with the shroud. We have to stress that in the past, however, there was a confusion and mixing with the shroud. In 1769, Pope Stephen III, as to the Mandylion speaks of a cloth where there is not only the face but also the body. This was many times reproduced in the 12th century, and this is very important because it allows us to state that the shroud did not only appear in 944 in Constantinople or in Lear, because mention is made even earlier of a print of a body on a cloth. The shroud, therefore not the Mandylion, is worshipped during the centuries. After the arrival of the Mandylion in the Byzantine capital, Gregorius Referendarius avoids any mistake made by other. He quotes two things and stresses once more, emphasizes one of those things. He says, here we have water and blood. On the other hand, on the other one we have sweat. So these two things are certainly not coming from the same Master Christ. So here we have the delivery to the emperor of the icon coming from Edessa, and we see not the shroud on the shoulder of the messenger, but a purple cloth which allows him to bring the holy thing without touching it with his hands. It is a kind of veil similar to the Byzantine ones, similar to the one the priest has on his shoulders. On this miniature, the emperor touches the veil to see the image of the worshipped face. This image is on a small cloth. The white color is in contrast with the color of the veil covering it. The last remark, the artist, knowing the existence of fringes, reproduced them very well, not behind the face as in the other reproductions, but he imagined them against the beard of the image. The existence of fringes in these iconographic documents which relate to the image of Edess allow to differentiate clearly this image from the shroud which had no fringes.
Ici, Mademoiselle Dubois.